that site is because of the fact that you do have, you have taxes involved and everything like that, but you also got the infrastructure around that area, and this is closer to the highway than what Arlington Park would be, but Arlington Park did have a train station literally steps from the doors when they had horse racing there. So, um, but it'd be a fun, interesting thing that they have there. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my picks for the 4 NFL games, and then I'll bring Brian in, and he can tell me if I'm smoking dope or whether you should fade my picks or you agree with the picks, or if he gives me an alternate thing that he's going to try, uh, that could be the case as well. So I'm going to bring my screen back up for that. And now we're going to look at the NFL. 4 games left. We're down to the final 8, the divisional playoffs. Let me go back here. Make sure that's up and running. There we go. And let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. So we got 4 games here. First game is 4:35 on Saturday. The Ravens and the Houston Texans. And Baltimore rightfully so is a 9.5-point favorite. Their defense has come up strong. They smacked around the Niners a couple of weeks ago. They laid Pittsburgh into the playoffs, and we saw what Buffalo did. But Houston, they are ahead of schedule. I will tell you that. And I feel that Houston, and I said this on Tuesday, Houston may be my Super Bowl pick for next season, because no rookie quarterback has Brian, we're going to do the same thing as last week. I'm going to give my picks, and then I'll bring you in, and we'll go from there, if that's okay. So you can see all 4 of my picks, and you can go back and forth with me afterwards. Now, I did see something today on Instagram, and I know I shared it. And if you follow me at Joe Quills, you probably would have seen it as well. I'm just pulling it up here. All 4 Lamar Jackson playoff starts have gone under the total. And that's from ESPN Bet. And I know I'm showing you DraftKings and blah, blah, blah. I might have to change who I use with that, but that's a story for another day. I think I'm going to make 2 picks here. I'm going to go with that trend because I think Baltimore's going to control Houston a little bit. They're not going to score 45 points like they did against Cleveland. So the one pick I'm definitely going to do is under 43.5 at -108. And by the time I give you the summary before I bring Brian in, we do have that's one of my picks here. Now, I'm getting the feeling that because CJ Stroud has already faced Baltimore, and I think that that's going to help him, and I do not think that Houston wins this game. I would not be surprised if this is a game that Houston ends up losing by 7, by 6. I wouldn't be surprised if Houston wins this outright, but like I did with Green Bay last weekend, except without the accusation that the referees are going to help Dallas out, which they did last week. I think this is going to be a close game, and I think Baltimore advances, but I think Houston's going to keep it close. I'm going to have have Houston there at plus 9.5 in this um, in this game here, the first game on Saturday, which is on NBC. Uh, then we're going to go to the 8 o'clock game, Packers in San Francisco, and Green Bay shocked everybody. Not that they won, but how they won, because this game was definitely not what we expected in terms of a blowout. I mean, most of us enjoyed it, but I don't think that everybody and SJ gave me an ooh. Now is that an ooh as in interesting, or is that an ooh which should be an EWWW, which is ooh, that pick disgusts me. But as she cleans that up here, just curious what that ooh means there because I didn't see it right away. But I'll tell you what, when I look at this game, San Francisco, they got the bye. They probably, technically they got 2 weeks off because most of their starters didn't play against the Rams. But Green Bay, in a way, is uncharted waters because they're the first 17 to beat, first 17 to advance in the NFL playoffs. With this new format and including the 1982-83 season, where they had the work stoppage and they expanded the playoffs that year to 16 teams because of the fact that they only had a 9-game season. But the defense for Green Bay has stepped up. Now, when you look at the stats of the game, you're going to see that they gave up over 500 yards and all this other stuff. But you know what? Most of those yards were in garbage time, and they were playing a lot of soft defenses because they're just trying to get through the end of the game so that they can get to this game on Saturday night. So I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about how they're going to stop Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, CMC. Because San Francisco has the pieces, and the reason why that they have so many weapons is because they have Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy is a rookie, a second-year quarterback. He is a second-year quarterback, right? Who was Mr. Irrelevant, so he's being paid as minimal as a draft pick would get, being a 7-round draft pick. So you can actually spread that money that will eventually come to him after another year or two when they redo his contract and sign him and extend him to a new contract. That money that will come to him eventually is going to CMC, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, Nick Bosa, the guy that used to be the Eagle, whose name is escaping me. You can pay for these other parts that you can get away with spending a little bit more than you want to in most cases because you have a very small cap hit with Brock Purdy. And in a way, I'm glad that the Eagles got eliminated because they don't have to face Detroit. They don't have to face San Francisco. And I think that San Francisco will get a late touchdown that'll put this game over the top. And I'm going to take San Francisco minus 9.5. I think San Francisco is a team on a mission. and we had a little change in the Houston line there, but that's okay because I didn't summarize this and um, did not set it and forget it like the Ron Popeil rotisserie grill. But I'll go San Francisco minus 9.5 at minus 112. Personally, I'm the type of person where I'm going to play a line like this. In terms of the Philly fade, I'm not worried about the VIGs and stuff like that. I'm worried about picking winners for you guys, and you, I wouldn't go more than 10, obviously, because 10's a magic number. Brian will probably be toying around this line, and you know, everybody can do whatever they want. I am the type of person where I'm just looking at the lines. And it's like, okay, do I want to play this? Do I want to pass on it? My pick is San Francisco here. Tampa Bay and Detroit, and Tampa Bay smashed the Eagles, ending my team season. They go to Detroit, and there was a funny as hell video that I wish I downloaded and whatever. I think I had it on my Instagram. I told you to watch the whole video, and there was this female news person that asked a question to the Tampa Bay coach, and probably what happened was, it's not a slight on women, so SJ, don't go there with me because I'm not trying to do that. The way a lot of times that the media works, at least what I've seen in Philadelphia, they don't send the sports anchor to report from right outside the stadium. They send the news reporter that doesn't know jack about football, or at least you don't think knows jack about football, and they ask a question like this. And they asked the Tampa Bay head coach, whose name is escaping me. Todd Bowles. They asked him, how's the team going to react to playing in 3-degree weather on Sunday? And I think it was as professional as he could do it without laughing at such a stupid question. And he said, "You realize we're playing indoors." So, but I understand it, and I'm not slighting because the reporter was a female or anything like that. I just think that what it sounds like for me was probably they sent a reporter which probably has no idea what football is. Texans. Okay, so I think I know what SJ was oohing about here. So, so the question here is, do you think the Detroit Lions, and this is probably the part of the show where I start going a little bluer than I should be, if the Detroit Lions shot their load with the Rams game, finally getting a playoff game, winning their first playoff game in 32 years. A lot of things going on here, and the variable with Baker Mayfield, where I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks, and somebody said it and I've run with it. One day Baker Mayfield looks like an MVP candidate, and the next day he looks like the right-handed Tim Tebow. And it's an interesting game. Tampa Bay didn't have to do much against the Eagles because the Eagles were in free fall. But I want to take Tampa Bay to win, but I think Detroit advances. I think last week we got all those ugly games except for the Tampa Bay Rams. The Detroit Lions LA Rams game. Once again, I think this is another close game. I think Detroit wins, but I think Tampa Bay keeps it close, and they can thank themselves for the roof. They probably won't win, but I think Baker Mayfield will keep them in this game enough that they will cover that 6.5 point spread. So I'm going with Tampa Bay plus 6.5 at minus 108. Detroit advances, but I think it's closer than that line. And then we get the Sunday night game, and this was this quickly became the Monday night game, the Sunday night game, because of the fact that you had all that snow and you had the postponement from Sunday to Monday, and it wouldn't be fair to bring Buffalo back on 5 days. I mean, it's almost unfair to have teams come back on 6 days, but 6 days is a lot better than 7. Trying to get the body back to somewhat normalcy. Buffalo has a ton of injuries, and the question is Buffalo's injuries especially on defense, going to catch up with them, or is Kansas City going to be able to do some sort of offense? And if I were going to, I'd probably take the under here, but I'm not going to make that one of my picks here. I think what's going to happen here is we're going to see something similar here, where Kansas City's defense will contain Buffalo, if that's a good word. And I want Buffalo. I would like to see Buffalo win, or at least get to the Super Bowl and lose, so I can say, hey, Buffalo's a new area code, 045. 0 for 5 in Super Bowls. But I get the feeling that there's going to be at least one team that wins on the road this week. And, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3. And who knows, maybe Houston wins, maybe Tampa Bay wins, but I'm going to say that the home teams win but don't cover. I'm going out on a limb here. I think Kansas City's defense comes alive, and they shut down Buffalo to a certain extent. And I think Kansas City advances to the conference championship game and has to go to Baltimore. And I'm going to say Kansas City money line plus 124 here in the Sunday night game on CBS, which will be followed by Murder, She Wrote. So anyway, here's my picks for this weekend. I'm going to bring Brian in a second. Got 2 picks for the Houston-Baltimore game. I'm going under 43.5 based on that stat that I gave you. And Houston plus 9.5. I don't know what the VIG was when I clicked on that button, but the good thing is with a site like DraftKings and you haven't put your bets in yet, they will alert you when there is an odds change. Because, you may just say, oh, I don't want minus 112 when I had 110. The heck with the Niners game. But Houston is minus 108 at the moment, so Houston plus 9.5 at minus 108. The Niners minus 9.5, they're minus 112 right now on DraftKings. On Sunday, Tampa Bay plus 6.5 at minus 108. Kansas City plus 124 on the money line. And I am going to... nah, it's not on this one. Never mind. So right now, I am 9-1 on the Philly fade. And we will see if I continue. And I apologize for showing my forehead. and cutting my face off.